The Charlotte Hornets have been an epitome of depression over the last few years, as they've won less than 30 games in each of their last 3 seasons, and they were obviously one of the worst teams in the league during that stretch. And they had pretty low expectations heading into this year, and at first, it looked like Charlotte was destined to be a bottom feeder again, as they started the year 16-28 and were the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. But ever since January 22nd, they are 10-3 in their last 13 games, and it looks like there's finally some hope for this franchise again. So in today's video, I figured let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets and why they are finally heating up and showing signs of life. But of course, before we do get started with the video, make sure you guys end up hitting the like button if you guys end up enjoying it. And of course, if you guys are new, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content like the one you're watching right now. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get things started. Now the first player I do want to talk about is none other than the Hornets' most recent first round pick in Kon Knueppel. He was viewed as one of the best prospects in the 2025 NBA draft, and he ended up being the 4th overall pick in that draft. And he has not disappointed whatsoever, as this year, he's been averaging 19 points per game, 4 assists per game, and 5.5 rebounds per game, while shooting 49% from the field, 43% from 3, and has a true shooting percentage of 64.5%, which is extremely good, and he hasn't been that bad defensively either. And I know most people would pick Cooper Flagg to win Rookie of the Year, which is valid, and I will admit, Cooper Flagg is my pick to win that award. But with that said, I think Kon Knueppel is undeniably a top 3 candidate in that race. And if you ask me, he should be the runner-up in the Rookie of the Year voting. Kon Knueppel, he's already a borderline all-star level player. And if you ask me, he could be a perennial All-NBA player one day. And I think he easily could be one of the best players in the league. Now the next guy I do want to talk about is LaMelo Ball, and he's obviously one of the most polarizing players in the league because he does have a lot of fans, but there are also a lot of people who don't really like him as a player, and it's undeniable that when he's on the floor, he's an extremely good player, but you see, that's the problem with him. LaMelo Ball, he is extremely injury prone, and he has failed to lead Charlotte to any real success ever since he got drafted there. Now, he did have a semi-injury prone start to the year, but he hasn't missed a game, thankfully, since December 18th, 2025. And in that stretch, he's been averaging 19 points per game and 7 assists per game while shooting 40% from the field and 40% from 3. But LaMelo Ball, he's never been that efficient from the field, sadly, but LaMelo is still a pretty good scorer, and he's a really good three-point shooter while also being a tremendous playmaker. Again, LaMelo Ball needs to stay healthy because when he's on the court, he's an extremely good player, but durability has always been his biggest weakness. But like I said before, he just needs to stay healthy, and along with that, he needs to be a much better driver because I don't know what the hell he was doing, speeding and just driving recklessly. Please, LaMelo Ball, don't do that again. And the last of the young big 3 in Charlotte, the last guy I should talk about is Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller had a really good rookie season back in 2024, but he barely played in 2025 due to injuries, and like LaMelo Ball, he had a very rough start to the season and he missed several games due to injuries. But he's only missed 1 game since December 5th, 2025, and his play has been drastically better ever since that day, and he's been averaging 21 points per game, and 5 rebounds per game, and 1 steal per game, while shooting 42% from the field and 37% from 3 since December 5th. And Brandon Miller, he was a consensus top 3 player in his draft class, and he's shown some flashes as to why he was viewed so highly. But with that said, Brandon Miller has lacked consistency so far in his career. I think that's definitely been his biggest weakness aside from durability, and it is something he does need to work on. But if Brandon Miller can ever figure out the consistency, then I do think he will be an all-star level player. Now, aside from the Hornets' young big 3, they also do have a lot of good role players who have been a big part in the Hornets' success this year. For starters, Moussa Diabate has been really good for Charlotte, as he's given them a good paint presence who can score inside, grab rebounds, and is pretty good defensively. And ever since becoming their full-time starting center in January, he's been averaging 9 points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and 1 block per game, and he's shooting 66% from the field. Meanwhile, Miles Bridges, even though he's a terrible person, he's provided them with a good scoring punch, as he's averaged 18 points per game and 6 rebounds per game while shooting 45% from the field. Tijani Salon has also taken a sizable leap in his second season, as after having an absolutely awful rookie season last year, he's become a real contributor, as in 16 minutes per game, he's averaging 6 points per game and 4 rebounds per game, but he's shooting 50% from the field and 42.5% from 3, and per 36 minutes, which again, it's not a perfect stat, but it's solid. He's been averaging 14 points per game and 10 rebounds per game, which is pretty good. Ryan Kalkbrenner has also been very impactful as a rookie, as just a second round pick, as he's been averaging 8 points per game and 6 rebounds per game, along with 1.5 blocks per game, and is shooting 76% from the field. And then you have Josh Green, who's a pretty good 3-and-D wing, and Sion James has also been solid as a rookie, as he is very good defensively. And the Charlotte Hornets also traded for Kobe White at the trade deadline this year, and I really like that addition, as he's a very good scorer and a pretty solid playmaker, and he's averaging 19 points per game and 5 assists per game this year, while shooting 44% from the field and 35% from 3. And I also think Charles Lee has done a really good job as the Charlotte Hornets head coach, in his second season coaching the team. Because he's got the players to buy into a system where they, have to play unselfishly, and it's been a big part of their offensive and defensive prowess. Plus, he's done a really good job developing the young talent on this roster because, like I said before, the young big three, when they're healthy, they're playing well, and the Hornets' recent rookie class has been absolutely amazing, with Kon Knueppel, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and Sion James all being very big contributors. And speaking of the Hornets' offense and defense, in their last 13 games, they're 6th in offensive net rating and 10th in defensive net rating, both of which is obviously extremely good. And as far as their offense goes, their 3-point shooting has been absolutely amazing, as they are 3rd in 3-point percentage in this stretch. And defensively, well, they don't have too many all-world defenders, all defense type guys. It is a little bit shocking to see their defense be top 10, but they do have a lot of switchable and athletic players, and their communication, it's been very good on that side of the ball. And as a result, the Hornets have been quite good defensively. And aside from that, Charlotte has been a great rebounding team, as they are 5th in rebounds per game and 2nd in rebounding percentage. And as a result, the Hornets are 4th in second chance points per game, and they're 4th in opponent second chance points per game, which means they do a good job of not allowing their opponent to get second chance points, off their own misses. And of course, the Charlotte Hornets' high offense and defensive net rating, it does come in a small sample size of only 13 games, so you definitely should take, some of those stats with a little bit of a grain of salt. But with that said, it's still been very impressive to, see them playing this well, and you do need to give credit where it's due, because it has led to such a quick turnaround for this team. Now, as of right now, Charlotte is the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, and they are behind the Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, and the Atlanta Hawks, but ultimately, I do think they will pass the Hawks and maybe the Magic or the Heat, and I think they will end the season as either the 8 or the 9 seed, and I do think the Charlotte Hornets will do their job in the play-in tournament, and I believe they will make the playoffs for the first time this season in 10 years. Now, chances are, I think the Hornets will be a first-round exit, but at this point, just making the playoffs would be considered a successful season for the Charlotte Hornets, because they've just been absolutely awful in the last few seasons, like I said before, and they've never made the playoffs in LaMelo Ball's tenure, so this would be a massive step in the right direction. And if this year has shown us anything, it's that when the Charlotte Hornets are fully healthy, they are a really good team. They got a nice young big three in LaMelo, Kon, and Brandon Miller. They do have a solid supporting cast, and I think Charles Lee has shown to be a pretty good head coach. So with more development from their young guys and maybe some potential offseason additions, I think the Charlotte Hornets could be even better next season. And personally, I'm glad to see the Hornets are finally showing signs of life and direction, because damn have they been a sad watch since 2023. But the one thing I do ask them to do is stay healthy, because like I said before, if the Hornets are healthy, they can easily be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference in no time. And I'm excited to see how they fare, for the rest of the season and in the future. But that is all I have to say for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, make sure you guys do hit the like and subscribe button if you guys haven't already. And check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and Instagram are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.